أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu and welcome to our class today. I hope and pray that you are all doing very well and keeping safe. Please make sure that you are logged in today with your correct ID. Only IDs that are logged in correctly will be called to the mic and asked to participate. Please also make sure that your heads are covered, that you have done wudu before you enter the classroom today, and ensure that you're sitting in a nice and quiet place with no background noise or disturbances so that we can all hear you clearly when you're called to the mic. Jazakumullah. So the agenda for today's class is on your screens right now. And as you can see, we'll start shortly with our opening dua as usual. We'll then move on to looking at the correct tilawat rules for the Suratul Ikhlas, chapter number 112 in the Holy Quran. And we'll try and cover as many verses of that surah as possible in today's class. We'll then move on to having a look at a hard word for today's class, and we'll get some students on the mic to help us practice that hard word. And then we will be covering our practice text of chapter number 84, which you've been covering this week, and we'll be starting off and continuing from where you left off yesterday. We'll end the class with our normal procedure of assigning homework and dua. So if I could please have our first student on the mic for our dua.
Assalamu alaikum. Could we have G2168, please?
Jazakumullah. G2168. Assalamu alaikum. G2168. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm very well. So we're going to ask you to read this dua for us now. So please repeat after me. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Good, well done. And when you read Tawud, so remember to start off with A'udhu. Okay, not auzu, that would be wrong. So we have to make sure that the alif is separate and the ayn sound is separate. So one more time. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
Okay, so try again. A'udhu.
أعوذ.
Good. One more time. A'udhu.
أعوذ.
Good. Okay, so the sound should be separate when you say it in the beginning. Okay, so remember not to merge the two sounds together. But well done. So we're going to read this dua. Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'a.
Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'un.
Okay, at the end it's nafi'a.
Nafi'a.
Good. And over here, this is aluka.
Aluka.
Yeah, so remember not to stretch the sound out because it simply has a fatha on it. Well done. And read the translation for me now, please.
Allah, I ask you for your beneficial knowledge.
Well done. And it's from Ibn Majah, hadith number 925. Excellent. Well done. Jazakumullah. G2168. So, as we just saw in the agenda, the first thing we're going to do in today's class is we're going to have a look at all the rules for the correct tilawat of Suratul Ikhlas. Okay, now I'm sure everybody that's joined today's class is well aware of this surah, and I'm sure that you all know it off by heart, as this is quite a short surah. And it's probably one of the first surahs that young children start to learn. because like I said, it's short, so it's more convenient to learn. But what happens sometimes is that when you get so used to reading a particular surah and you think you know it off by heart, that sometimes you forget to really look at each and every aspect and each and every bit of the surah and making sure that you are reciting it correctly with the correct pronunciation. Okay, so that's why we've chosen this surah for today's class, because it's a surah that's very much, recited a lot, and a lot of people know it off by heart. But we are to encourage everybody to memorize these surahs, but to memorize them with the correct pronunciation. It's really, really important that our pronunciation is correct. So that's what we're going to have a look at today. Okay. So some facts about this surah. This is chapter number 112 of the Holy Quran. It has a total of 5 verses, this surah, and only 1 ruku. Okay, so the whole verse is the whole of the 5 verses make up 1 ruku. And this was revealed to the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the holy city of Makkah. Okay, so those are just a few facts about this beautiful surah. So the whole surah is in front of you. As you can see, only 3 lines. So inshallah, it should be convenient for everybody to learn if you don't know it already. And like I said, we have to make sure that our pronunciation is perfect as we go through the surah. So the first thing that's circled in this surah is the letter Qaf. Okay, now the letter is Qaf. This is a thick and heavy sounding letter. Okay, and the way to make this sound is that the back of your tongue should block your throat as you read this letter. Okay, so if you think about it, when you make the sound, you take the back of your tongue and it kind of touches the top of your throat at the back. Okay, off, off. Okay, very thick and heavy sounding letter. So that's the first thing that we have to be careful of. Then we have another letter which we have to be careful of, and it's the letter Ha. Okay, and this letter is made from, the sound of this letter is made from the bottom of your throat. Okay, so make sure you're pronouncing that correctly as well. After that, we see that we have a mushaddad lam. Okay, over here you can see we have a mushaddad lam, and any mushaddad letter, it will join on to the most recent mutaharrik letter. Okay, and all the letters in between will be ignored in our recitation. So you also see that lam has a vertical fatha on it. Okay, now vertical fatha, we know that we have to pronounce it for 2 seconds. So it's really important that our timing is correct over here. Okay, so the lam mushaddad will join onto the vaw because that's the most recent mutaharrik letter, and we have to pronounce the vertical fatha as well. Okay, now after that we see an alif and it has a fatha on it. Any letter with a fatha on it will be pronounced for 1 second. Okay, 1 second, so no longer than that. So it's really important timing is correct. After this, we can see that we're approaching the end of the verse. Okay, and we know that we have to stop or pause on the letter dal. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to look at the sign or the symbol that's on the dal, which is a dhammatain. Okay, and we have to we have to understand that this dhammatain will become a sukoon when we want to take a pause. Okay, so this dhammatain will become a sukoon when we're stopping over here. Now, if I take you back to class number 16, okay, and the rule and focus that we looked in at that day, we looked at the jerking pronunciation rule. Okay, now we saw that whenever any of these letters carry a sukoon, there is a slight jerking sound, a slight bounce that is made in your sound. Okay, now the 5 letters that we're referring to here are qaf, ta, ba, jim, dal. Okay, so whenever any of these 5 letters, they have a sukoon on them, we have to produce a slight jerking sound, a slight bounce in our sound. Okay, now as you can see over here, because we're stopping on the dal and this dammatain becomes a sukoon, dal now becomes a kalkala letter because it has a sukoon on it and we're stopping after that. So what we have to do is we have to make a bouncing sound when it's sakin. So when dal becomes a sakin letter, we have to make a bouncing sound on it, like we've just seen. So what we have to do is we have to take our tongue away from the roof of our mouth to get the bouncing sound. Okay? Had. Had. Okay? So we mustn't stop our sound there. We have to. So normally when it's a sukoon, we have to stop our sound. But because it's a kalkala letter, we have to produce a bouncing sound, which I know most of you have been doing really well in the past classes as well. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to quickly practice reciting this verse over here. Okay, so on your screens, I've made it a bit bigger for you so it's a bit easier. So if you could have a student on the mic, please.
Yeah, could we have G2241?
Jazakumullah. G2241. Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm very well. So did you understand all the rules that I went through just for this verse over here?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So let's read Tawud and Tasmiyah first. So repeat after me. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Good, well done. Okay, so we're going to take the second verse over here. قل هو الله أحد.
قل هو أحد.
Okay, good try. First thing over here, remember the first thing we said is over here. This is the letter Qaf. It's a thick and heavy sounding letter. So try this again. Qul.
Go.
Good. So thick and heavy sound, okay?
قل هو الله أحد.
Good. Well done. So over here, I think it can get a bit confusing. Let me highlight that for you now over here. So over here, what happens is we learned that this is a lam mushaddad, okay, has a shadda on it. So it joins onto the most recent mutaharrik letter. Can you tell me what's the most recent mutaharrik letter before this lam? So mutaharrik letter is a letter which has a stroke on it.
Okay.
So which one will it be?
Well,
Yeah, it will be the waw. Okay, the waw in this case will be the most recent mutaharrik letter before this lam mushaddad. So the waw will join onto the lam, okay, and the letters in between, so this alif, this lam over here, these will be ignored in our recitation. Okay, so when you see the waw with the fatha, you might think, oh, there's a alif straight after, so I must elongate, but you must make sure that you keep reading and keep looking at what's next, and you see that there's a lam mushaddad. So the waw will join onto the lam mushaddad. Okay, wallah.
Wallah.
Good, well done. And over here, we see that ha is a letter which is made from the bottom of our throat. So you've done that well. And then at the end of this verse, we have to produce the qalqala sound and the bouncing sound on the dal sakin. Okay, because we know that this dammatain becomes a sukoon. So ahad.
Ahad.
Good, well done. So bouncing sound right at the end. Good. So let's try again. قل هو الله أحد.
قل هو الله أحد.
Okay, good. Let's try again. قل هو الله أحد.
قل هو الله أحد.
Good, excellent, well done. But remember this qaf sound, thick and heavy sounding letter, okay? And remember over here, straight away join the vowel to the lam. No staying in between, no lingering in your sound in between, okay?
Okay.
Huwallahu.
Huwallahu
And then at the end, bouncing sound, okay? Ahad.
Ahad.
Good. Let's try again one more time.
Qul huwallahu ahad.
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 Good, well done. Okay, so lots and lots of things to take care of. So you might think it's a short verse, but actually there's lots and lots of rules that we need to be careful of, and that's why it's really important that we keep practicing and keep having a look at the surah, at the verses, to make sure that we're pronouncing each of the rules properly. Okay, well done. Jazakumullah for your participation, but remember, keep practicing to make sure you're getting that pronunciation correct. Okay.
Okay.
Jazakumullah. Let's have another. Actually, we'll go through the next verse, see what we need to look after, and then we'll move on to another student. Okay. So the next verse, the first thing we have to look at is, again, we have a mushaddad lam. Okay, over here we can see we have a mushaddad lam, and just like we did before, it will join onto the most recent mutaharrik letter. And the most recent mutaharrik letter is the alif. Okay, so lam mushaddad will join onto the alif. Okay, and because it's a mushaddad letter, we have to press down on the lam. Okay, so it's really important that we join it, but join it by pressing on the sound of the lam. The lam also has a vertical fatha on it, so we have to stretch our sound up for 2 seconds. Okay. Next, we have the letter ha, which is made from the bottom of our throat, and we have the letter sod, which is made with a thick and heavy sound. Okay, make sure you don't read it as a seen. Okay, a seen is a thin sounding letter. Sod is a thick and heavy sounding letter. So we must make sure that we're pronouncing this correctly. Okay. Now, the sod is a mushaddad letter. It has a shadda on it. So it will join onto the most recent mutaharrik letter, which is the ha. As we've just seen, ha has a dhamma on it. So it will join onto the ha, and the letters in between, for example, this alif, this lam, will be ignored in our recitation. So the ha will join onto the sod mushaddad, and we have to press down on the sod mushaddad. Okay, so really pressing down, making sure you're joining both those letters with force. Okay, then of course the sod also has a fatha on it, so we have to produce a 1 second sound over there. Okay, at the end of this verse, we're pausing on the dal, so this dhamma on the dal will become a sukoon, and just like we saw before, dal will now become a qalqala letter. It's already a qalqala letter, but because it has a sukoon on it, we have to make the bouncing sound on it now. Okay, just like we did at the end of the first verse. This verse over here, we will do the same thing over here. Okay, so we have to take our tongue away from the roof of our mouth to make the bouncing sound. Okay, mad, mad. Okay, so let's have another student on the mic to read the next verse with us, please.
Could we have G2242, please?
Jazakumullah. G2242. Assalamu alaikum. G2242, can you hear me? Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm very well. Have you been listening to the rules that I've just explained?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So if you could start with Tawzun Tasmiya for me.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Okay, just do that one more time, nice and slowly for me, okay? So read each and every bit of that dawud and tasmiyah nice and slowly for me. Go on.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Good, well done. Okay, so this is the verse we're doing now. So I'm going to read it and then I'd like you to read after me. Allahu Samad.
Allahu Samad.
Okay, good, well done. So really nice sound made over here with the vertical fatha, stretching it for 2 seconds. You join the ha to the sad really well as well. But at the end over here, make sure that you're producing that qalqala sound, okay? So bouncing sound. Mad.
Mad.
Good. Allahu Samad.
Allahu Samad.
Excellent. Good. Well done. So let's start from the beginning actually now, okay? So one more time. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ.
قل هو الله أحد.
Okay, remember your bouncing sound at the end. أحد.
أحد.
Excellent. الله الصمد.
الله الصمد.
Excellent. Well done, mashallah. Really nicely read. So as you can see, we've just gone through the first 3 verses of this surah. And as you can see, there's lots of rules that we have to be mindful of as we are reading. So like I've said before as well, really important that you cover this after class as well today. Okay. So Jazakumullah for your help, G2242. Okay, so that's what we're going to cover for this surah in today's class, so Surah Al-Ikhlas, and inshallah, I believe you'll be covering the rest of it in tomorrow's class as well. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next segment, which is practicing of a hard word. This is the hard word for today. Okay, so looking at it straight away, it does look quite long. Yeah, it looks slightly daunting, slightly difficult to read, but not to worry at all. Inshallah, we'll break it down for you and we'll read it bit by bit so that it can become more manageable. Okay, and the purpose of reading these hard words is to really challenge you, okay, really make you think about it and really practice all those rules that you've been learning with us so far. Okay, so it can be really easy to have a look at simple words and make sure that we're reading those correctly, but it's also really important that we're looking at more difficult words, more challenging words, so that you are able to recite each and every word found in the Holy Quran. Okay, so if you could have a student on the mic for this as well.
Yeah, could we have G2243?
G2243. Wa alaikum assalam. Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
Good, are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm very well. Jazakumullah for asking. So this is the word that we're going to tackle in today's class. So let's take it section by section, okay? So first thing we're going to do over here is we're going to read Dawud and Tasmiyah, okay? So read after me. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Good, well done. Okay, so first letter we have is a meme with a kasra, okay? It's followed by a noon sakin and then a meme mushaddad, okay? And it has a dhamma on it as well. So what will happen over here is this meme will join onto this meme mushaddad, and this noon sakin will be removed in our recitation, okay? So, and this is one of the rules of idgham that you have learned previously, okay? So what we will do is we will join this meme onto this meme mushaddad, and we must remember the ghunna rule as well, which is that whenever you see noon mushaddad or meme mushaddad, we have to produce a 2-second ghunna sound, okay? So follow after me. Mim.
Mem.
Excellent. Well done. So noon is removed in our recitation, in our sound, that we don't produce the sound. We join this meme to this meme mushaddad. Well done. Okay. After this, we have the letter dad with a sukoon on it. Okay. So we have to join the sound that we've just made to this dad. Okay. Mim-mud.
Mem.
Good. Well done. Dad is a very thick, heavy sounding letter. So you've done that really well. Okay. After this, we have a ghain with a fatha. Gha.
Kha.
Okay. This is the letter ghain. Okay. Gha.
Gha. Gha.
Excellent. Well done. So remember not to make the kha sound. Okay. The letter kha is this one over here. This is the letter ghain. So it will make the sound of gha. Okay.
Gha.
Well done. Excellent. Now the next bit over here, we have a ta. Okay, letter ta with a kasratain underneath it, followed by a mim mushaddad. So what will happen is only one stroke of this kasratain will be taken and joined onto the mim mushaddad. Timmu.
Tem.
Excellent. Now again, we have a mim mushaddad. So just like we did before, mim gunna sound will be made over here, just like you've done really well. Okay. Next, we have a kha, which will join onto the lam mushaddad. Khalla.
Khalla.
Excellent. Well done. Really nice sound over there. Then we have the letter qaf, which is a thick and heavy sounding letter with a fatha on it. Qa.
Qa.
Excellent. Then we have the letter ta with a kasratain. So, tin.
Ten.
Excellent. Good. Well done. Now let's start putting it together. Mim mudgha.
Mem. Mudgha.
Okay, remember this letter ghain. So make the gha sound, okay?
Gha.
Mim mudgha.
Mem. Mudgha.
Okay, so right now I'm just hearing you say a bit like a kha sound, okay? Remember, don't confuse that ghain and the kha sound, okay? There's different sounds. One more time. Mim mudgha.
Mem. Mudgha.
Good, good, well done. Tim mukhallaqatin.
Ten. Mukhallaqatin.
Excellent, well done. So let's try all together now. Mim mudghatin mukhallaqatin.
Mem. Mudgha. Khatin. Mukhallaqatin.
Excellent, well done. Really nicely read. Okay, just one thing to look out for over here. This is a mim mushaddad as well. Okay, it's a mim mushaddad, so we must make sure we're making the mim ghunna sound. Okay, timmu.
Temmu.
Okay, now how do you pronounce this?
Kha.
Okay, one more time. Gha.
Kha.
Yes, well done. So, and this is?
Kha.
Yes, and this is?
Kha.
Okay, now right now they're sounding very similar. So they're two different letters, okay? This is, just listen carefully, okay? This is gha and this is
Kha.
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 Yes, so different sounding letters, okay? So really important that you're making those sounds correctly, okay? So let's try one more time. Making sure we're sounding the mim gunna sound properly and also the sound of gha correctly as well, okay? Mim mudghatin mukhallaqatin.
Mem. Mudghatin. Mukhallaqatin.
Good, excellent, well done, really nicely read. But I want you to keep practicing the sound of ghain and the sound of kha, okay? Because I know it's difficult sounds to make from your throat, but the more you practice, then inshallah, the better you will get, okay? So this is gha, this is kha. Okay.
Okay.
غَتِمُ.
خاتم.
Okay, one more time. غَتِمُ.
خاتم.
Excellent. Good. Well done. Really good. Okay. Just keep practicing your line sound. Really important that you do that. Okay. But well done. Really, really good. Try with that. Just make sure you practice after class. Okay.
Okay.
Jazakumullah.
Jazakallah.
Allah Hafiz. Okay, so that was the hard word for today's class. I hope you all were practicing along with us as we are reading. And as you can hear, some words there you have to really differentiate between the sounds as you make the sounds. Okay, so for example, this is the letter ghain, this is the letter kha. So both need to be pronounced differently. So really important that you keep practicing that. Okay. So we're now going to move on to our practice text for the day, which is continuing on from the surah that you've been covering this week, Surah Al-Inshiqaq. And you left off in yesterday's class at verse number 19. So you finished till verse number 19. So we're going to carry on from verse number 20. So if you could have our student on the mic, please.
Could we have G2245 on the mic?
G2245.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm very well. How are you finding the lesson? Are you understanding all the rules?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. That's good to hear. So we're going to start from verse number 20, okay, which is from here. And in this first verse over here, okay, before I do that, if you could read Thousand Tathmiyah for me, and we'll continue.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Good, well done. So over here in this first verse, what I want you to be careful of is this noon mushaddad. Okay, can you tell me what sound, rule is going to be applied over here?
It is a noon with a
Noon with a shadda on top. But can you tell me what rule is going to be applied over here?
so we have to read it like La tarkabunna.
Okay. So what the rule that's going to be applied here, which you've tried to do over here, is the noon gunna sound. Okay, so the noon gunna sound is when whenever you have noon mushaddad, you will produce a 2-second nasal sound. Okay, 2-second gunna sound that will be held in your nose whenever you see noon mushaddad. Okay. Bun, so over here this will be bunna, like that. Okay, but remember that it simply has a fatha on it afterwards, so you're not stretching that for 2 seconds. So this is only 1 second stretching because of the fatha, and the shadda will mean a 2-second nasal sound. Okay. Another thing over here we have to take care of is you can see that we have a qaf with a fathatain. Okay, now this qaf with a fathatain, whenever you have a tanween, you have to look at the next letter to see what kind of sound it is that we have to make. So you can see that we have an ayn after that. Now, can you tell me, is ayn a letter of the throat?
Yes.
It is. Well done. So that will mean that we have to make a clear sound over here. Okay, clear sound on the tanween over here.
Okay.
And then at the end of the verse over here, we're stopping on the qaf, and it has a kasratain underneath it. Can you tell me what this kasratain will turn into when we're stopping?
Sakin.
A sukoon. Yes, well done. So this become a qaf sakin. Excellent. Now, when this becomes a qaf sakin, can you remember what rule we have to apply over here then?
We have to do tabak.
Okay, good. So what's the name of the rule? Can you remember?
Kalkala.
Excellent, well done. So the rule of qalqala will be applied over here because you will be left with a qaf sakin. Okay, so we have to produce a bouncing sound, jerk sound when we join the ba to the qaf. Okay, so that's something we have to be careful of over here. So let's do this verse. So I will read and I'd like you to repeat after me, okay?
Okay.
لَتَرْكَبُنَّ طَبَقًا عَنْ طَبَقٍ
تركبن طبقا عن طبق.
Excellent. Well done. Really nicely read. But I want you to be careful of your thick sounding letters, okay? So there's some letters in the Holy Quran that we have to be careful of because they're thick and heavy sounding letters. So we have to produce a thick and heavy sound, okay? And ta is one of those letters, okay? And you can see it comes up twice in this verse. And we also have the letter qaf, which is a thick sounding letter, and it comes up twice in this verse. So remember, whenever you're saying it, say it with a thick and heavy sound. طبقاً.
طبقا.
Excellent. طبق.
طبق.
Excellent. Good. Well done. So one more time. Say this verse again for me.
لا تركبن طبقا عن طبق. طبقا عن طبق.
Excellent, mashallah. Really, really nicely read. Really happy with the way you've pronounced those thick and heavy sounding letters now. Excellent, well done. Let's move on to the next verse now, okay? Now in this verse, we have to be careful of our letters of mud. So we have a alif over here. So we have to make sure that we're stretching that for how many seconds?
2 seconds.
2 seconds, excellent. Well done. Another letter of mud over here. Again, alif mud. So 2 second elongation over here as well. Now over here, we have a hamza sakin, okay? Hamza sakin is sitting on top of the vowel, but it's the sound of the hamza sakin that we're going to make, okay? And whenever we're joining a letter to a hamza sakin, we have to produce a slight jerk sound, okay? So whenever we're joining the ya to this hamza sakin, we're going to say yu, like that, okay? So a slight jerk sound we're going to make over here. And when we end the verse over here, we can see we have a noon with a fatha. This fatha will become a sukoon, okay? And because the letter before the last letter is a vaw mud, we've learned that if it's a letter of mud, we can stretch that sound out for 2 seconds, 4 seconds, or 6 seconds. Okay, do you remember that rule?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so that's something we can apply over here as well. So let's start from this verse over here now. فَمَا لَهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ
فما لهم لا يؤمنون.
Excellent. Well done. Really, really nicely read. Really happy with the way you've read, mashallah, and you've your timing is really good, and your pronunciation of the letters is also really good. Okay, Jazakumullah for your participation. G2245. Allah Hafiz. If you could have another student on the mic, please.
Could we have G2246?
G2246. Assalamu alaikum. G2246. Assalamu alaikum. Can you come to the mic?
She's another student. Could we have G2231?
G2231.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
Fine, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine, thank you. So we're going to read the next verse now. And if you could read Ta'awudh and Tasmiyah for me first.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim.
Excellent, good. Okay, so the next verse that we're just about to read now This is the verse in this surah that you've been told about, and your teacher yesterday spoke about it, and on Monday, your teacher spoke about it, that in this verse, in this surah, there is a verse, which at the end of that verse, we have to do sajda. Okay, so that verse is verse number 22, which we're just about to read now. Okay, so at the end of this verse, we are told to do sajda. Okay, so in today's class, we're not going to do sajda in class, but what we're going to do is after class, I'm going to request you all to do sajda, to offer the sajda, okay? Because that's one of the things that we are allowed to do, is permissible, that if you can't do it there and then, you can do it after. Okay, so that's what we're going to request you all to do, that after this class ends in the evening, please make sure that you offer sajda. And I'm going to tell you and remind you all of that Sajdah prayer. So there's quite a few Sajdah prayers that you can do and you can read, and this is one of them. Okay, so the PDFs for the prayers of Tilawat Prostration have been shared with you on the parents group. So this is one of those prayers that you can read. Okay, and I'm just going to say that for you now, and I'd like you to repeat after me. Okay, G2231. Okay, so we're going to say, Allahumma laka sajadtu.
Allahumma laka
Sajadtu.
sajadtu.
Excellent. Wabika amantu.
Wabika amantu.
Walaka aslamtu.
Walaka aslamtu.
Wa anta rabbi.
Wa anta rabbi.
Excellent. Well done. So this is one of the prayers of Tilawat Prostration. Okay, one of the prayers you can read when you do sajda in the Holy Quran. The translation is, "O Allah, to you I have prostrated, in you I have believed, to you I have submitted, and you are my Lord." So a very, very beautiful dua, that prayer that we can read during sajda. Okay, so this is one of them. So after class, I would like you to all do sajda, because what we're just about to read is the verse where in this surah we have to offer sajda. Okay, so in this verse over here, there's a few things that we need to look out for. So of course, we have our letters of mud. So for example, over here, we have alif mud. So we have to elongate for how many seconds?
2 seconds.
Excellent, well done. Now over here, we have a ya with the hamza sitting on top of it and a fatha. So can you tell me, is it the sound of the ya or the hamza that I make?
The hamza.
Excellent, good, well done. So hamza is the sound that we have to make with the fatha on top. Over here, we have a ya leen, okay, because it's a ya sakin letter before it has a fatha. So we have to do 2-second elongation over here as well when we pronounce it. Okay, then we have a vertical fatha over here. So 2-second elongation takes place over here. 2 seconds elongation over here as well because of the alif mud. Okay, and then when we end the verse over here, we're ending on the sound of noon sakin. Okay, this fatha will turn into a sukoon. And because there is a vaw mud before the end of this verse, we can stretch this vaw mud sound out for 2 seconds, 4 seconds, or 6 seconds. Okay, so quite a few rules to be mindful of in this verse. So we will recite it. So I'd like you to follow along. وَإِذَا قُرِئَ عَلَيْهِمُ الْقُرْآنُ لَا يَسْجُدُونَ
وَإِذَا قُرِئَ عَلَيْهِمُ الْقُرْآنُ لَا يَسْجُدُونَ.
Excellent, good, well done. So a bit of a longer verse, but you read really nicely. Over here, remember, this is an alif mud. Okay, so how many seconds do we elongate over here?
Is it 2 seconds?
It is 2 seconds. Okay, so 2-second elongation over here. So make sure you spend the correct amount of time over here. Okay, well done. Let's do the next verse. So over here we have a lam mushaddad. It will join on to the most recent mutaharrik letter, which is this lam with a gusta over here. Okay, and we have to press down on the lam mushaddad over here as well. We have yamad, so 2 seconds need to be spent over here. We have Valmad over here. So again, 2 seconds need to be spent over here. We have a Dal Mushaddad. Okay, so it needs to be joined onto the kaf and we need to press down on the sound of the Mushaddad letter. And then at the end of this verse, we're stopping on the noon with a fatha, so it will become a sukoon. We have a Vaw Mad just before, so we can spend 2 seconds, 4 seconds, or 6 seconds as we have been doing previously. Okay, so let's read this verse. بَلِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا يُكَذِّبُونَ.
Balillazina kafaru yukazzibun.
Excellent, good, well done, really, really nicely read. Remember, this is the sound of the.
The.
Yes, well done. So remember not to say a Z, okay? It's a letter where we have to take the tip of our tongue and touch it to our top teeth, okay? Balilladina.
Balillazina.
Excellent. And then again, it appears over here. So, yukazibun.
Yukazzibun. Zibun.
Yes, good. Okay, so remember, this is a sound that we need to keep practicing on. Okay, well done. Excellent. Really nicely read. Jazakumullah G2231.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Can my sister G2232 read?
Okay, let me ask discipline in charge.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, that's fine. So if she could come on the mic now. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Is that G2232 now?
Yes,
Okay, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm very well. So if you read Tawud and Tasmiyah for me first.
Okay. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Excellent. So in this verse over here, we have a lam mushaddad, okay? It will join onto the most recent mutaharrik letter. So it will join onto this vowel over here because it's the most recent mutaharrik letter. It also has a vertical fatha on top, so it will be stretched out for 2 seconds, okay? Over here we have alif mad, so 2-second elongation. Over here we have vaw mad, so again 2-second elongation. And at the end of this verse we have a noon with a fatha, which will turn into a noon sakin when we're pausing at the end. There is a vaw mad just before, so we can spend how many seconds on this? Can you tell me?
2 seconds.
Okay, we can spend 2 seconds, we can spend 4 seconds or 6 seconds, okay? Because it's coming at the end of the verse, okay? So that's another rule that we've looked at previously, so we can keep that in mind. So let's start reading from here. Wallahu a'lamu bima yu'un.
Wallahu a'lamu a'lamu bima yu'un.
Okay, good. Well done. Good attempt. Over here, I'd like you to stretch a bit longer for the vowel mud. So how many seconds over here do we give this?
2, 4, or 6.
Okay, so for this vowel sakin, we only give it 2 seconds. Okay, because it's not at the end of the verse, what I mean is when you're ending the sound on a verse, before the last letter, so for example, the noon sakin is the last thing that we're going to pronounce over here. Just before that, if we have a letter of mud, for example, a vaw mud, alif mud, or ya mud, then we can spend 2 seconds, 4 seconds, or 6 seconds on that letter of mud. Okay, but anywhere else on that verse, we can only spend 2 seconds. Okay, is that clear? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so 2 seconds on this vowel mud, but 2 seconds, 4 seconds, or 6 seconds on this vowel mud over here, because it's coming just before the last letter in the verse. Okay, so one more time. Wallahu a'lamu bima yu'un.
Wallahu a'lamu bima yu'un.
Okay, good. Bima yu'un.
Bima yu'un.
Excellent. Good. Well done. Okay, so remember 2 seconds need to be spent on this one over here, which you have to make sure, okay? But well done. Let's carry on. Now, in this verse over here, we have a letter of mud over here, so 2 seconds need to be spent over here. Now, we see that we have a ba with a kasratain underneath it. Whenever we see tanween, we have to look at the next letter to see if it's a letter of the throat. Is this alif a letter of the throat?
Yes.
It is. So we have to make a clear sound over here. Okay. And then at the end of the verse, this kasratain will become a sukoon. Okay. So we have to take care of that as well. And we have a yamad just before the end of the verse. So we can spend 2 seconds, 4 seconds, or 6 seconds over here as well. Okay. So let's read this. فَبَشِّرْهُمْ بِعَذَابٍ أَلِيمٍ.
Fabashirhum azabin
Alim.
alim.
Good, well done. So over here, we're stretching for 2 seconds the sound because of the alif mad. Okay, so one more time. فَبَشِّرْهُمْ
Fabashirhum
بِعَذَابٍ
bi'azabin
أَلِيمٍ.
alim.
فَبَشِّرْهُمْ بِعَذَابٍ أَلِيمٍ.
Fabashirhum bi'azabin alim.
Perfect. Excellent. Well done. You got there in the end, which is absolutely wonderful. Okay, so you can tell that the more you practice, the better, and the better you will get. Okay, so well done. Excellent. Jazakumullah G2231 for your help. And if we could move on to our next student quickly, please.
We have G2112.
Jazakumullah. Assalamu alaikum G2112.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm very well. Okay, so we're going to end with this last verse over here, which is a bit of a longer one, but we'll go through all the things we need to take care of, okay? Now, over here we see we have an alif with a kasra, then we have a lam mushaddad, okay? So alif joins onto this lam, and then after this we have another lam mushaddad. So this lam mushaddad will join onto this lam mushaddad, okay? So we have to take care of that. We have a ya mad over here, so 2 second elongation, vertical fatha, 2 second elongation, okay? We have other letters of mad over here as well, so we need to take care of that. Over here, we have a sad, mushaddad, okay? So it will join onto the most recent mutaharrik letter. So it will join onto this lam with a dhamma, okay? Lussa, it also has a vertical fatha, so that's why we're elongating it for 2 seconds at the end over here, okay? Then over here, you can see that on top of this ra, we have a dhammatain, okay? Now, whenever we have a tanween, we have to look at the next letter to see if it's a letter of the throat. Can you tell me, is this ghain a letter of the throat?
Yes.
It is, well done. So it will be a clear sound over here. So we have to be careful of that. And at the end, as we've been looking at before, this kasratain will turn into a sukoon. And because there's a vaw mud just before that, we can stretch this for 2 seconds, 4 seconds, or 6 seconds, okay? So let's go through this verse. إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات لهم أجر غير ممنون. Okay, so give that a go. Sorry, if I can just stop you there. I don't think you read Dawud and Tasmiya, yeah? So if you could just read Dawud and Tasmiya before you start.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Good.
إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات لهم أجر غير ممنون.
Excellent. MashaAllah. Really, really nicely read. Really, really impressed with the way you recited that. Your timing was excellent. Pronunciation of the letters was excellent as well. Okay. Just one thing that I forgot to mention before we started reading was this Jim Sakin over here. Can you remember what rule I have to apply over here?
Kalkala.
Excellent. So Jim is one of the qalqala letters. Now, because it has a sukoon on it, we have to produce a bouncing sound. Okay. Ajrun.
Ajrun.
Good. Well done. So that's just something we have to be careful of over here. Excellent. Well done, G2112. Really, really nicely read. Okay. Jazakumullah for your participation.
Jazakallah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz. So that was the last verse of this surah. MashaAllah, everybody read really, really nicely. So really happy, and make sure that you keep practicing this surah that we've covered this week. And your homework for today's class is to practice Suratul Inshiqaq, which is chapter number 84, and start reading from verse number 20 till the end of the verse, end of the surah. Okay, so end of the surah over here. Okay, so verse number 26. So homework is to practice chapter number 84, verse 20 to 26. Okay, remember that there was a prostration in the tilawat, and because we didn't do it during class, we'd like you to all offer this prostration this evening. So after class, so you don't forget, make sure that you do your sajdah. Okay, really, really important that you do that. Another homework is to practice Suratul Ikhlas. And if you could please practice from verses 1 to 3, which is the verses that we covered in today's class. And as an optional thing, as an optional homework, you can also start to memorize Surah Al-Ikhlas if you don't know it already, verses 1 to 3. So that's just the verses that we've covered today. Okay, so if you want to, and I'm sure you all know this surah off by heart, but as I said in the beginning, it's important that we memorize it with the correct pronunciation. Okay, so that's your homework for today's class, and this will be posted on the WhatsApp group for parents. So that's your homework for today's class. Please make sure that you do it, and we will end with our prayer after reciting the Holy Quran. If you could have a student on the mic, please.
G2115.
Jazakumullah.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm very well. So we're going to read this dua. If you could repeat after me with Dawud and Tasmiya. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Good, well done. Remember when you say Dawud, as I said before, remember to say it أعوذ rather than أعوذ. That would be wrong, okay? So one more time. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
Excellent, good, well done. Allahumma arhamni bil-Qur'anil azim.
Allahumma arhamni bil-Qur'anil azim.
Excellent. Well done. And translation?
Oh Allah, have mercy on me through the Quran the Great.
Excellent. Well done. Really nicely read. Jazakumullah for your participation and Jazakumullah to everybody for joining us in today's class. Inshallah, we'll speak to you all again same time tomorrow. And remember to do your sajda after class, okay? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.